It's raining. It wasn't raining hard when I got home from work this evening. It was a very light drizzle. And I thought before I start recording, I will take out the trash. If the mic picked up that thump, I'll explain what that was in a minute. The garbage bin is about maybe 100 meters that way. A minute of a walk. So I grab my recycles, I grab my trash, I walk outside, and Mother Nature says, "Up yours, Andy!" Wham! The rain comes down. I'm not the Wicked Witch of the West. I'm not hydrophobic. I dry. It's not that big of a deal. As soon as I got back in my apartment, light drizzle. I also noticed, as you may have noticed, a new place. I'm getting new furniture, and part of it was in a very large box that was sitting out on my porch. I don't know for how many days it's been out there, possibly 1 or 2, and it is soaked. It is now sitting in my tub. Luckily, it's a metal mount for my television, so it should be fine. It's not like a upholstered bit of furniture or a piece of wood. It's metal, so should be okay. And I also apologize. That's the thump you heard, because it's in my bathtub and I think it just fell over. I also apologize for my voice. I have a bacterial throat infection. I don't really want to be talking right now. It kind of hurts. But the show must go on. Today's movie, Metropolis. Yes, Fritz Lang's 1927 silent film. I have seen the anime from the early 2000s, which was based on the manga by Osamu Tezuka, who I am a decent fan of. My favorite work of his is Blackjack. You might know him better as the guy behind Astro Boy and Kimba the White Lion. So that's who that is. From what I understand, the animated movie was an adaptation of the manga. The manga was an adaptation of the film. So I probably haven't seen that animated film in like 10 years, but I do remember quite liking it. It's about a future society where robots and humans coexist, but it's really uneasy, and there's a robot who thinks she's human or doesn't realize she's a robot, and a guy who doesn't realize she's a robot, but then turns out she is a robot and she was meant to be a weapon, and she goes crazy and starts killing people. But then through the power of friendship, stops that and dies. It's actually, as I recall, a fairly in-depth and complicated film. I'm leaving a lot out. But I remember quite enjoying it, so it'll be interesting to see the original. So I'm going to get right on that. Stupid, boring, obnoxiously cheesy, horrible acting is what I imagine a lot of modern audiences would say about this film. I am not most people. I rather liked it. This is, I certainly wouldn't hold it against you if you found this film boring, or the incredibly broad acting of the silent era really off-putting. Through modern eyes, I get that. You do have to watch this movie with the understanding that it was made in the 20s. Film's 88 years old. if you can stop yourself from viewing this film through a modern lens, I think that's really the best way to watch it. And I'm not saying that the only way to appreciate this film is from a historical perspective. I actually found the film quite enjoyable. I do think the film loses itself in the second half, kind of gets away from itself. It's always clear. When I was in grade school, when they taught me writing, the most basic form of writing a complete work was intro, body, and conclusion. Say what you're going to say it, say what you just said. This movie does exactly that. It starts out telling you exactly where it's going to go. It goes there, and it says, golly, here we are. Where it gets into trouble, just from a story standpoint, and this could just be me. As you can tell from my voice, I'm a little sick. I've got a hell of a headache. So maybe there was just some things I wasn't picking up on. While it's always clear what people are doing and how they hope to accomplish what they're doing, it's not always clear why they're doing that or what they hope to accomplish. I'll explain. I'm not going to worry about spoilers much for a movie that's pushing 90. Pardon. The animated Metropolis movie from 15 years ago, very different from what I remember. Some of the general themes are the same, but different movie. I had to pull that off my shelf and watch it again. I haven't seen it in a long time. This movie has some really, truly, no hyperbole, wonderful special effects, which is kind of amazing. There are, I think probably my favorite effects are the shots of the city, the metropolis of the future, with giant buildings and planes flying around and freeways running through the buildings, the elevated buildings the elevated freeways that you would see in, well, the metropolis of the animated Superman cartoon from the 90s. And it's a combination, it's an optical effect that combines models and painting, and while you can tell how all the effects are done, they are done, with one exception that I'll get to, they are done so well, and the visuals of them, the aesthetic look of them is so consistent that it never pulls you out of the movie. It's not like movie, glaring effect, movie. No, it's just movie, establishing shot, huge set, effects, optical effect. It works really well. The only thing that really doesn't is when the workers' city floods at the end of the movie. And it's a model that they're filling with water. Water doesn't miniaturize, so it looks like a model being filled with water. Still, that sequence is so damn earnest and so epic in scale that it manages to be pretty tense. It in the 20s, that would be probably an edge of your seat. Holy crap, this is amazing, kind of blockbuster, Michael Bay-esque, obnoxious, huge thing. When they made Ghostbusters in 1984, well, they probably shot this in 83, came out in 84. They had somewhat of the same problem in the sequence where the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was walking down Central Park West. One of the cars hits a fire hydrant and water spurts out, and water doesn't miniaturize, so what they did was they used very fine sand and spit that through the bottom of the set to essentially miniaturize the water. Yay, trivia. Has nothing to do with Metropolis, I just thought I'd share that. I hope you can understand me, because if you can't, I'm going to have to subtitle this whole damn thing, and that's a lot of work, which I don't have time to do before I post this. I don't think. We'll see. Am I coming in loud and clear? What was I talking about? Oh, Metropolis, yes. The movie is about Metropolis of the future. Big, it's like Tomorrowland, as Disneyland envisioned it. This is the future. You have planes flying around and big buildings and lights all over the place and elevated freeways and all kinds of cool stuff. So the guy mainly directly responsible for the construction of the Metropolis, his son, that's not important. There are the rich hoity-toity people, and there are the worker class who run the machinery in the bowels of the Metropolis and keep the whole thing running. Now, these worker class work 10-hour shifts and do some of the what's portrayed as some of the most exhausting physical labor ever. In fact, these people routinely drop dead on the job. They just wheel them out and bring in some new blood, literally. Now, Maria, she is Maria. She's talking to the workers. The idea of the movie is the intellectuals who planned this great city and the workers who built it need to come together. But it's impossible because they speak two completely different languages, so to speak. They can't relate to one another. So they need a mediator. The halfway point between the brain and the hands is the heart. The heart must mediate the brain and the hands. So Maria has been talking to the workers and said, the mediator will come so that you guys aren't all dying every day, because that sucks. So, sorry, brain hurts. Hard to talk. So the creator of the city's son goes down to the machine room and decides to live the life of a worker for one day. And it's like, oh man. And then he meets Maria, and because it's an old movie, instantly falls in love. And if I may look at the movie through modern eyes and make fun of it a little bit, the acting is, as I said, deliciously broad. I mean, it's that kind of thing. You see a woman, the guy sees a woman, and his heart is yearning for her, and he literally does this. She does the same thing too. She's a very clutch the bosom type of woman. In fact, she's constantly grabbing her breast. She's kind of, sorry, it was a little distracting at points. It's in here somewhere. Yeah, there's my heart. It's hard not to watch some of that acting. Later in the movie, let me skip ahead a bit just so I can say this. Let me say this. There is a female doing a sexy dance later in the movie. It's supposed to be the type of Holy biscuits, this is the most sexy thing I have ever seen. It will drive me to break every sin in the book. Just the, the wolf eyes, tongue, that kind of thing. It's supposed to be the sexiest dance that has ever danced sexily. Through modern eyes, it is the most awkward thing you have ever seen. And it's probably hard not to laugh. Imagine me wearing nothing but a thong, dancing the robot, and trying, in all seriousness, to be completely sexy about it. Hilariously awkward, isn't it? Yeah, that's kind of how it is in this movie. But you swing with it. Man, the woman who plays the robot, talk about broad acting. That is not a pun, sorry. She acts with her eyebrows and eye makeup. It is one of the... is the most manic performance. You know how I was heavily critiquing Paz de la Huerta's performance in yesterday's movie, Nurse 3D? Her acting style was, I forgot how to human. This actor's acting style, when she's playing the robot anyway, is the complete opposite of that. It is the most manic thing I have ever seen. Wow. It is a thing to behold. Anyway, so she's trying to tell the workers that just hold on because the mediator will be here and will unite the muckety-mucks who live the high life upstairs and us, and we'll all live in peace and harmony. We just need that one person to, extend an olive branch in both directions. So there's a mad scientist. His name is Rot Wang. Rot Wang. What an unfortunate name. So, he has built a robot that he shows to the head of the Metropolis city. And he says, give me 24 hours and this robot, it moves like that. And limitations of the robot costume, I understand. It says, in 24 hours, give me another 24 hours and I'll have this thing looking exactly like a human. And he does. I'm impressed. So, Maria gets kidnapped. And the leader of Metropolis finds out that the workers have been have been listening to Maria talk about, joining hands with everyone else. And for some reason, he decides, okay, we're going to make the robot you built look like Maria. Then she's going to go down and rabble-rouse and turn everyone against each other and destroy the world. I don't know if he actually thought that far ahead. I mean, that's clearly what the consequences of his plan are. I'm not sure why he wants to go there, though. That's kind of the main problem I have with the movie. So, Robot Maria does her sexy dance and makes all the guys upstairs, all the high-level muckety-mucks who live the high life, makes them all lustful and, beating each other up over her and sowing discord. And then she goes downstairs to the workers and says, your mediator isn't coming. Death to all the machines, all these machines that you guys die to operate. Destroy them all and take your rightful place among all the other people upstairs who go to nice clubs in Red Lobster. And so the workers go, yeah, And they leave their worker city and they go into the machine room and they start busting stuff up. And the foreman's like, that's going to flood the worker city, you know. They're like, yeah, we're going to live with the other people. You left all your kids at home, right? Yeah. You're not putting two and two together here? Children are in city floods. No. So it's up to real Maria and our would-be mediator to save the children. And they do. Yay. But after because the workers destroy all the machines and the city floods, and luckily all the children and our heroes escape through air vents. But the workers don't know that. And they're like, oh gosh, all our children are dead. Let's burn the witch, the Maria who, riled us up and made us destroy the machines. And so, of course, they find the real Maria. And burn her at the stand. They chase her around the city. And the robot Maria is partying hardy with all the other top hat wearing fools. And then they clash together and, oh gosh, which Maria is it that just got, so they grab the Maria and they tie her to a stake. Unfortunately, this Maria is doing it, so it's obviously the robot. I don't know if we were expected to wonder if that's really her. The mad scientist and one of our heroes has a rooftop fight and falls off, and the mad scientist, Rotwang, falls to his death, and then the guy who made Metropolis and the worker foreman are like doing the Sistine Chapel, reaching for each other, but they just can't. So the guy steps up and mediates and says, all right, guys, join hands. And that's where the movie ends. Really not a bad film. I mean, it's got a story. You can follow it. Some of it just... I just don't understand what the plan here was. I mean, I understand he has absolutely no respect for the workers, but he does understand that if the workers don't keep working, everything falls apart. If you drown all the workers, no one's running the machines, there's no power in Metropolis. And that happens, all the power goes out. And he looks surprised. Maybe I missed something, I don't know. As I mentioned earlier, this movie is visually incredible, especially for 1927. And the score. Oh, man, the score is wonderful. Probably my favorite part of the movie. I hope this is the original score that would have played with this movie back when it originally premiered, because it's genius. It's really, really good. It's a silent film, of course, but the score manages to orchestrate itself in a way to provide the soundscape for the movie from a Foley perspective. For instance, when there's a big tower bell that the Maria falls off a stair and grabs onto the rope, and the bell rings, like the Notre Dame bells, and bong bong, and the score will incorporate a bell, gong sound with the bell. At the front of the movie, the workers are trudging to work, and the movie, the score is. The tempo is to their trudging. When the steam whistle goes off to signify the change in shifts, there's a big horn blast in the score. When you're in the machine rooms with the stuff that's spinning all over and the cogs and gears and pistons working, the percussion is going bomb, 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 bomb with the pistons, and you have like the woodwind section going dilly 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 dilly. It is really, really well done. I loved it, and it's just genuinely good music. So, if you can't watch old movies with a straight face, if you just can't peer around the modern lenses, it's probably not, unless you're with buddies and you're just going to make fun of it. That could be a perfectly good way to enjoy the film, but it would probably be a tough watch. It's also 2.5 hours. But if you have an open mind when it comes to film, and if you have an open mind when it comes to film, give it a try. There is a lot worth seeing in this film, I think. So I'm glad I said it's nothing. It's nothing I would ever rewatch. Just to, you know what? I feel like watching me some Metropolis. I would, however, rewatch it with a commentary from a film historian, someone who really knows this movie. I would happily watch features on the making of the film and the restoration and the score. I love that stuff. Come to think of it, this seems like a movie that Criterion or someone would have done, so I'll probably have to look that up. And unfortunately, Criterion's movies, while roundly great, are horrifically overpriced. So I have to look at that. But as a film, as an entertainment, pull something off the shelf to watch, not that movie. Still glad I saw it. A lot I really like about it, and interested in learning more about it. One more thing I'll say. This is probably long enough, and my throat really, really hurts. Is that, and I just forgot what I was going to say. Gosh darn it. This is a restoration. Well, obviously it's a really old film, but from a few title cards at the very beginning of the film. Most of this movie, like 40 or 50 minutes of the movie, were lost until about 10 years ago. And a lot of that footage is really messed up beyond all repair. So you have a really gorgeous, really clean looking image, and then suddenly it goes all fuzzy and lined and scratches and stuff. And it looks like someone reformatted it at some point, because there's a portion of the top of the image and a portion of the side of the image. When you're staring at the screen, the left side of the image is gone in some of the shots. And to the whoever made this presentation, to their credit, they just leave it out. They don't try to stretch out the image. I hate it when they do that. I don't know how accurate it is to the original German title cards, but the title cards often do some really unique stuff that help tell the story. Some of the title cards will move in certain ways. There's one that scrolls up from the bottom in a pyramid shape, and there's a real specific reason for that. That's really, really a really cool idea. So I really admired that. Yeah. My voice is about gone. Oh, one more thing. Mother Nature wasn't picking on me. It was just, I just happened to walk outside when it started raining really hard. It rained even harder while I was watching this movie. It was even by, Seattle standards, it was pouring outside. That wasn't rain by San Diego standards. That was rain. That was hard rain. In fact, during the movie, there's a point where a guy pushes an intercom button, and this sound emitted, this bong, this really high-pitched electronic, almost, when the TV goes color bar and you hear that high-pitched whine, that emergency broadcast signal. It sounded kind of like that. And I thought, well, that's a little on the nose. And then I realized it's not the soundtrack, it was my phone with a flash flood alert. Because my phone makes that kind of noise when there's a flash flood alert or an amber alert or something like that. I thought it was part of the film soundtrack because it happened right when the guy hit a button. He's bong! And my falsetto is gone, so I can't mimic it. But reminds me of when I first saw The Ring, the original Japanese version. I swear I'll shut this off eventually. My longest video yet, maybe. It's the one where I have a sore throat and I just keep talking. For those of you who haven't seen The Ring, it's about a haunted videotape. It's what we watched movies on before DVD, kids. You watch the videotape, and then the phone rings, and you pick up the phone, and a creepy voice says, 7 days. And then 7 days later, you die. Unless you show the tape to someone else, and then the curse is passed on. So that's the premise of The Ring. So, in the movie, the lead character watches the tape. And the movie shows you, the viewer, the tape. All minute and a half of it. So, I watched the tape. And then it finished. And then my phone rang. In real life. And I picked it up. I said, hello? Pause. Oh, hey, Aunt Fran, how are you doing? I like the original Ring better than the American remake, but I didn't really care for either of them. I just thought it was really funny that my phone rang at the exact moment that the Ring video in the movie ended. Fun coincidence. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you were able to understand what I was saying throughout it. And I hope I feel better tomorrow. Toodles.